Kaleb Cooper sends clear message amid farmers' protests in London as Clarkson's farm star offers show of solidarity. Clarkson's farm star Kaleb Cooper has shown his solidarity with the hundreds of farmers who descended on Westminster with their tractors on Wednesday to once again protest against inheritance tax changes announced in the budget. The "RIP British Farming" demonstration, organized by Kent Fairness for Farmers and Save British Farming, saw vehicles line up on Whitehall from 10 a.m. Tractors traveled from across the country, including Exmoor, Shropshire, Somerset and the home counties, to join the protest. The convoy, many flying Union flags, displayed signs reading, "No Farmers, No Food," and "Save British Farming," as they drove through central London. The protest coincided with Prime Minister's questions and follows a similar demonstration in November that drew 13,000 people. Cooper, who attended the protest on November 19, wasn't pictured at the event but took to social media to send the clear message he was on their side on Wednesday. Using his Instagram page, Cooper reposted a post from Farmers Weekly which showed the hundreds of tractors blocking roads in the capital. "Wow," the publication captioned the image alongside a series of tractor emojis. As well as reposting the update, Cooper showed his support further by liking the post on social media. The Clarkson's farm star has made no secret of his opposition to the Labour Party's proposed tax measures, saying to the press at the November 19 protest, "I think it's the passing down of your family farm to the next generation. If I want to pass my business on to my child, I don't know if he can afford to take that on with the new tax bill. It could be unprofitable to make a livelihood off that business, that's why everyone has come together today. It's got to the point where it's going to affect us massively and we need to do something about it." Organizers say the latest show of action is in response to what they call the toxic budget, which included changes to inheritance tax for agricultural businesses and a faster phase-out of EU-era subsidies. Under the budget changes announced in October, an inheritance tax of 20% will apply to agricultural assets worth more than £1 million, compared to the standard rate of 40% for other property. Farming leaders argue this will severely impact family farms, with National Farmers Union President Tom Bradshaw claiming 3/4 of operating farms will be affected. The average UK farm is 250 acres, and with current land prices at around £7,800 per acre, even modest farms can be valued well above the threshold. Farmers warn the tax changes could force the sale of land that provides their income, threatening the viability of family farming operations. The government insists its support for the sector remains steadfast, with Environment Secretary Steve Reed highlighting a £5 billion two-year farming budget. Ahead of today's protest, the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs announced £343 million in payments for nature-friendly farming activities, benefiting over 31,000 farmers. A Downing Street spokesman said, "We have been very clear we are not going to change course on this policy. It was necessary to take tough decisions at the budget." Last month's protest drew high-profile supporters including Jeremy Clarkson, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and politicians Kemi Badenoch, Sir Ed Davey and Nigel Farage. The demonstration comes as MPs on the Environment Committee hear evidence on the tax changes' impact, and as the government publishes a report on UK food security. Professional news. Kaleb Cooper sends clear message amid farmers' protests in London as Clarkson's farm star offers show of solidarity. Kaleb Cooper, star of the popular television series Clarkson's Farm, has voiced his support for farmers amid ongoing protests in London, sending a clear and powerful message about the struggles faced by the agricultural community in the UK. Cooper, who became a household name through his role on Clarkson's Farm, where he works alongside Jeremy Clarkson on a farm in the Cotswolds, has long been an outspoken advocate for the issues affecting modern farming. His latest comments come as farmers from across the country descended upon the capital to demonstrate against government policies they argue are putting their livelihoods at risk. The farmers' protest. The protests, organized by various farming groups and associations, have gained significant attention as farmers voice their concerns over a range of issues, including rising costs, regulatory burdens, and trade policies. Many in the agricultural community argue that government decisions are threatening the sustainability of family farms and pushing small-scale farmers into financial ruin. At the heart of the protests are calls for greater financial support, fairer pricing for British produce, and changes to environmental regulations which farmers feel are unrealistic and damaging to their businesses. The demonstration, which saw thousands of farmers taking part, was marked by tractor convoys, banners, and loud chants calling for change. While the protests were peaceful, they highlighted the deepening divide between policymakers and the farming community, which feels increasingly marginalized despite the essential role agriculture plays in the UK's economy and food security. Kaleb Cooper's support. Kaleb Cooper, who has spent much of his career working on the land, has long been vocal about the issues facing farmers. Having gained popularity through Clarkson's Farm, Cooper's insights into the challenges of modern farming have struck a chord with many viewers, particularly those with limited understanding of rural life. In a recent statement, Cooper expressed his solidarity with the protesting farmers, emphasizing the importance of supporting the agricultural sector and protecting the future of farming in Britain. Speaking from his farm, he said, "I know firsthand the challenges that farmers face every day. From rising costs to ridiculous regulations, it feels like we are constantly fighting an uphill battle. The protests in London are a wake-up call for the government. It's time they listen to us. Farming is more than just a job, it's a way of life, and it's vital to the future of this country. We need fairer treatment, more support, and policies that make sense for farmers, not against us." Cooper went on to highlight some of the key issues that he believes need urgent attention. Among these were the rising cost of inputs, such as fuel, feed, and fertilizers, which are putting enormous pressure on farmers' margins. He also criticized what he described as unfair trade agreements that make it harder for British farmers to compete with imports that often have lower standards of production. Show of solidarity. While many farmers in the UK have been vocal about their discontent, Kaleb Cooper's involvement in the protests has given the cause a high-profile boost. His popularity, particularly among younger viewers who might not otherwise engage with agricultural issues, has helped raise awareness of the struggles faced by rural communities. On social media, Cooper has shared posts showing his support for the protests, including images of farmers gathered in London and videos in which he explains why the protests are necessary. Cooper's role on Clarkson's farm has also made him a figurehead for many within the farming community, and his backing of the protest has been widely welcomed. Many farmers have expressed gratitude for his public support, which they believe helps amplify their voices in a political climate that they feel often ignores them. In one of his posts, Cooper wrote, "I'm with you all. The issues we're facing are real, and it's time we stand up and be heard. I stand with every farmer in this country who is fighting for their future." Although Cooper did not attend the protest in London himself, his endorsement of the cause has sent a clear message that he stands in solidarity with farmers and their demand for fairer policies. His support has also resonated with his fans, many of whom may not be directly involved in agriculture but appreciate the importance of the industry to the country's food security and rural economy. Clarkson's farm and the broader conversation. Cooper's participation in the broader conversation about farming has been shaped in large part by his time on Clarkson's farm. The series, which began airing in 2021, documents Jeremy Clarkson's attempts to run a farm in the Cotswolds, with Cooper serving as his mentor and guide. The show has been praised for its honest portrayal of farming and the challenges involved, as well as its ability to engage a mainstream audience with issues of agricultural policy and sustainability. The success of Clarkson's farm has brought greater visibility to rural life, and Cooper's role in it has established him as an important voice in the ongoing debate over farming in Britain. While Clarkson himself has been an advocate for many of the same issues, Cooper's grounded perspective has won him respect among farmers and viewers alike. The show has also prompted a wider conversation about the future of farming, especially as the UK seeks to balance environmental sustainability with the need to ensure food security. The government's new agricultural policies, which aim to reduce carbon emissions and promote biodiversity, have been welcomed by environmental groups but have been criticized by farmers for being too rigid and not reflective of the realities of working the land. In response to these challenges, Cooper has called for more collaboration between farmers, policymakers, and environmental groups to find solutions that are both practical and sustainable. He has argued that a one-size-fits-all approach to farming regulations is damaging and that local conditions and farming practices need to be taken into account when crafting policy. The road ahead. As the protests in London continue to draw attention to the plight of farmers, Kaleb Cooper's involvement in the movement underscores the importance of solidarity and the need for agricultural issues to be taken seriously by policymakers. While the future of farming in the UK remains uncertain, Cooper's clear message of support serves as a reminder that farmers are not alone in their fight for a fairer, more sustainable future. The events of the past few weeks have shown that the farming community, with its deep ties to the land and its vital role in feeding the nation, will continue to stand up for what it believes in. Whether it's through public protests or public figures like Kaleb Cooper offering their support, the message is clear: the government must listen to farmers and act now to secure the future of UK agriculture. For Cooper, the fight is personal. As he continues to raise awareness through his role on Clarkson's farm and his social media platforms, he remains determined to push for change that will benefit farmers across the country. The protests in London may be a stark reminder of the difficulties facing the agricultural sector, but they are also a call to action, one that Cooper is proud to answer. Conclusion: Kaleb Cooper's stance on the farmers' protests in London highlights the critical issues facing the agricultural community in the UK today. Through his platform on Clarkson's farm, Cooper has been able to elevate the voices of farmers and shine a light on the challenges they face. His message of solidarity and his commitment to advocating for fairer policies is an important part of the broader conversation about the future of British farming. As the protests continue, it is clear that the farming community is determined to make its voice heard, and figures like Kaleb Cooper will play a key role in shaping that conversation going forward.